The trumpets sounded their call, their brazen notes echoing across the fields as Eriksson tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword. A knight sworn to his king, he carried his orders with grim determination. March east, confront the army of the vampire lord who dared threaten the realm. He and his comrades were no strangers to such creatures. Vampires were deadly, yes, but with the holy steel of their blades and the blessings of the church, they had always prevailed. Confidence flowed like a river through their ranks as they journeyed into the dense, shadowy woods. Yet what awaited them was no legion of pale-skinned fiends. Instead, the forest seemed to come alive with glowing, malevolent eyes, their amber light cutting through the dark. A low, guttural howl shattered the stillness, soon joined by countless others. Eriksson's blood ran cold. These were not vampires, they were werewolves, hundreds of them. Panic rippled through the nights. Their holy weapons, meant to pierce the undead, were ill-suited against the ferocity of the beasts. Chaos erupted as the pack descended. Eriksson's world became a blur of roars, blood, and the screams of his comrades. He fought fiercely, slaying 2 of the creatures, but their sheer numbers broke the line. Overwhelmed, Eriksson fled, guilt gnawing at his soul as he left his brothers to their fate. The wolves pursued him relentlessly, their growls ever closer. Eriksson stumbled into a small village at the forest's edge, begging for sanctuary. The villagers took him in, but the wolves were not far behind. As the pack tore through the hamlet's defenses, Eriksson rallied the townsfolk for a desperate stand. The battle lasted until dawn, the wolves retreating as sunlight touched the earth, but the cost was staggering. The streets ran red with blood, and the survivors looked to Eriksson with hollow eyes, their grief unspoken yet palpable. He knew the truth. The beasts had not come for the village, they had come for him. As Eriksson nursed his wounds, bitterness festered in his heart. Why had the king sent them to their deaths? What cruel game had he been a pawn in? Weeks passed, and Eriksson's anger hardened into resolve. Disguised, he returned to the capital, determined to seek answers. On a moonless night, Eriksson slipped into the castle and cornered the king in his private study. "Why?" he demanded, his voice trembling with rage. "Why did you send us to die?" The king, weary and unflinching, revealed the bitter truth. A vampire lord, cloaked in shadows and deceit, had offered him a priceless relic, a legendary artifact said to hold the power to heal his dying daughter. Desperation had clouded the king's judgment, leaving him with little choice but to accept the sinister bargain. Yet, the price of this salvation was steep. The vampire did not seek gold or jewels, but instead demanded an army of humans to feed his loyal werewolves. These cursed beasts, bound to the vampire's will, needed flesh to sustain their bloodthirsty existence. The knights, brave, unsuspecting, and loyal to their kingdom, had been sent to the front lines not for glory or honor, but as pawns in this grim pact. Eriksson's fury boiled over. With a single stroke of his blade, he ended the king's life. Yet, his vengeance felt hollow. Turning toward the royal chambers, he resolved to erase the king's bloodline entirely. But when Eriksson burst into the princess's room, he froze. The girl was no monster, no cunning schemer. She was a child, no older than 8, clutching a tattered doll as tears streaked her pale cheeks. Eriksson's resolve faltered. "You didn't choose this," he whispered, his voice soft, despite the weight of his rage. The girl only trembled, her wide eyes locked on the bloodied knight before her. Eriksson knelt, setting his sword aside. In that moment, he made a new vow. The king's sins would not taint her life. Eriksson took the girl and left the castle behind, leaving the crown and its corruption to crumble in his wake. He would protect her, raise her far from the rot of the royal court, and teach her to embody the virtues her father had abandoned: honor, kindness, and strength. Eriksson's journey did not end in vengeance, but in redemption. Though the world would call him a traitor, a kingslayer, he cared not. In his heart, he knew he had done what was right.